First, because she would be really quick. Ladies and gentlemen, let's pause this meeting and welcome Chairman Brandon Lamont Beach to the room. Any comments, Chairman, as we get started?
No, glad to be here.
All right. Chairman, did you see Senator Orrock coming up? I was going to let her.
She's coming.
She's coming. We'll give her 20 seconds. If she's here, we'll go with her bill first. If not, we'll go with the other one. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what we're doing here. So we've got Senator Orrock's bill. It's a road naming bill. Her ad did not run in time for us to pass it with the omnibus road naming bill. So we're going to send this over to the House, and Chairman Jaspers, from there you can do with it as you wish. If you would like to amend it and put it in with the other omnibus road naming bill, if you have the capacity to do that in your committee, great. If not,
If you could get it over quickly, Chairman, I could get it on.
great. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. With that, I would entertain a motion on Senate Resolution 774. We have a motion do pass from Senator McLaurin, a second from Senator Mallow on LC 394311. Any discussion?
Talk about JD for a minute.
Yeah, I'll let her talk about, you know JD? You want to talk about
I
JD?
read an article about it. I think it makes a great intersection.
Absolutely. Fantastic. You want to comment? Go ahead.
Thank you,
Moore.
Mr. Chairman. I just want to express good words about J.D. Winston. I obviously was a little concerned when I saw Senator Orrock's name on it, so I did a little research. And J.D. Winston never had any biological kids, but he was certainly a great mentor to a lot of Atlantans with the YMCA, and I'm happy to vote for the legislation, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Fantastic. And if Senator Orrock is here and wants to speak any more about him, we can have that. But in the meantime, go ahead and call the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We're now going to go back to the top of our agenda and go to House Bill 516. This has been adorned with a couple of ornaments in the process as it's made its way through here. So we'll have a kind of a multi-pronged presentation, and we will start with Representative McCollum.
We both come to the,
Yeah, why don't y'all well, let's do that. Why don't y'all come together? I like that idea.
thank you.
That's a pro move right there.
We can tag each other. That way
Perfect.
a little easier.
Why don't y'all tell us about your bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to do sections 1 and 2. That was my original bill, and then Chairman Jasper is going to do the remainder of the bill. The first part of the bill is a transportation bill. It's really an inflation bill, if nothing else. So we're just increasing the $200,000 quick response program to $500,000 because this time you can't do a project for $200,000 just due to inflation. A turning lane's probably about $375 now. So essentially what this does is just increases that from 200 to 500 so we can get projects in place. They still do 3 bids, and it's just something, if we have a safety issue, something in your district, need something really quick, they can get it going in a couple weeks and get it approved. So that's something that's already in place. We're just increasing the cost that they can spend. Second section, really what it does, it just creates a flexibility on timing on public-private projects so that the hearing is movable as far as timing, and the GDOT board approval is flexible as well. That's pretty much it on my 2 sections.
Great. So you're allowing a little bit of flexibility in timing, but still requires the public hearing be held as they would otherwise be required. Is that
That's
correct?
correct, and that's
Correct.
due to the private entity being able to lock down their interest rate and things like that.
Perfect. All right. Let's start with Section 3. Chairman Jaspers, you want to take this one and
Yes,
kind
sir.
of let
Yes,
us know
sir.
where this
Thank
came
you.
from?
And Chairman, I appreciate your diligence with me adding all these little things that have come up in the last few weeks to make this bill. Okay, Section 3 is I'm going to stop. Where's Jenna at? It's Jenna Dolly. Okay, I think the chairman would agree
Absolutely.
that she had made a heroic effort in the last day or two. This bill, Section 3, came to us on Friday, and we and Jenna has worked it and got it in the present form up until just a few hours ago. And we have an amendment that will propose in this part, but I just cannot express my thanks enough to Legislative Counsel, Ms. Jenna. We appreciate you. Yeah,
It went from we don't know that we can do this to, hey, we got this early, and by the way, here's an amendment as well. So very well done.
Just
Impressive
on
work.
it, this is great. Okay, this is about kiosk, and specifically about Wayfaring kiosk. And when if you as I have driven around in different parts of the city, you've seen these kiosks. They're on the sides of county and city, or the city roads in Atlanta. What this bill will do is allow them on state highways. So they want to do this. The city of Atlanta, I talked to Kenyatta Williams this week, and it is their desire to expand these because of the World Cup and other things that will be on past that and before that, so people can find their way around Atlanta, can send messages. Of course, they're going to have advertising on it. Everybody's going to make money, but it's going to be really to help people move through the city better. And I've noticed them over in Inman Park where I'm at, and you'll see a change in there just due to where I'm at. So that's what this starts doing. We look, as we go through the bill, I kind of go through it in some little bit of detail, but, it allows them to put them on the public roads. We're talking about the right-of-way.
I want to clarify one thing, Chairman,
Sure.
if I can, just so that everybody is aware. This started really broadly, and you and I have worked together to narrow this down. So when you say they, we are speaking about the city of Atlanta only.
Only,
So we
yes.
have narrowed this down such that this will only apply in the city. The impetus for this is advertising and wayfinding for the World Cup.
Right.
This is why it kind of came to us somewhat, it's why it's time sensitive for them.
Yes,
to get that done.
as Chairman said, we had thought about kicking it to next year, but the contract time and everything they'll take it done, well, they wouldn't have it done in time. So that's why we kind of pursued this. But it really goes through just the same things you've seen any other GDOT thing. In 105, it's providing a benefit to the public, which allows GDOT to collect a fee. Really, they are the controller of the placement of these things, because it's all about safety. You look in 109, we talked about some minimum setbacks, 4 feet, 10 feet, worked with them. They're satisfied and feel safe with the things that are in here. And I will say, back in here in another line, if it becomes a hazard, this over here on 126, they can get them removed. And I think that's very important, that if they're a hazard for some reason, they're identified or they're placed wrong, or, mistakes happen, they can be removed. One thing Senator Dolezal and I really talked about a lot was on 115 about collection of data. You see this all in the news right now where we don't want to collect data, and on people just walking around, facial recognition, whatever, and we're prohibiting that. One thing that's a little controversial is on C, is the position. So I believe that they should be parallel to the roadway. Currently, when you see them, they're horizontal, they're perpendicular. And I guess what mine is that on a city street, one thing, state highway, it's another. There'll be testimony to try to maybe change this. But mine is that they're busy roads, and I know that Chairman Dolezal, and I've heard in our committees that pedestrian accidents are way up, blah, blah, all that stuff. And I guess as I drove past these and the practical application of it, I saw them as, if they are turned parallel on a busy road, I felt, horizontal, perpendicular to the road, that they were hazard. And that's why I put in here, I think the chairman and I agreed that C, that they should be parallel to the roadway. And they're off, so there's not a wasted space, because if you look back, they're 4 feet away from the curb, so people can walk on either side of them. I was downtown the other day at dinner, and I looked up the street, and I said, well, what if there was one that was perpendicular? It blocked my vision of the street as we looked way up Peachtree Street. And I personally thought that they should be turned this way so that nobody can hide behind them or stand behind them or surprise, a lady or anybody else. That's mine. If you need to ask me a question, I can see, Senator, you're.
Sure. Yeah, and I talk about them being static as well.
Yes. You know, and we certainly didn't want a moving sign. I think in Senator Dolezal in my county and Forsyth County, this was kind of proposed and really put on the back burner because of just distraction. You know, I don't have to tell anybody on transportation, distraction is a problem. And that was my concern about this along was, I think it's fine, but I don't want additional distractions on drivers that are going a little bit faster. They're on a state highway and seeing a moving sign. So we did that. We also put in here that they have to meet the requirements that we put for billboards on brightness, because I think that's important. And you'll see that in there on line 119.
And Chairman, one thing that you and I talked about that's not in here that Jenna just sketched out that I will offer as an amendment at the appropriate time, or maybe ask my vice chair to do, is that we are only going to allow these new ones to be installed on the state highways with the approval of GDOT between this becoming law and July 1st, 2026.
Yes.
So this is really being done with a narrow focus towards recognizing the fact that we're going to have millions of new people here making their way around the city during the World Cup.
And also, it doesn't limit it to the city of Atlanta. You'll see an amendment.
That's the Second Amendment, or the First Amendment.
will be in there. You know, and like I said, on 25, it allows for the, be able to get rid of them and how they do. You know, they're responsible for risk and all that good stuff. And, you know, I think it works out real well. It'll help them. Everybody will make, as I said, money and information. But I think we worked, Senator and I, very closely together to make sure we made it safe. And the business industry may not like some of those, but I think as we looked at the practical application on the state highway, that's where we came to land. This is where we're at right now.
Chairman, or there we go again. Senator McLaurin, did you have a question on this section?
I want to make sure that we understand
Sure.
what this parallel versus perpendicular thing is, because I'm having trouble sort of understanding what the two perspectives on the issue are. Am I right to say that when you say the structure is parallel, that means that if you are, okay, so but it matters to me what the lines are. The lines
Okay.
are either screens or they're the structure.
There's my road travel.
Uh-huh.
This is the sign.
And that's under the current, the way the bill's written now.
Yeah.
Am I right that
I want this.
you want it to be one-sided?
Well, no, it'd be both-sided. You know, the sign is 4 feet away from the curb.
Oh, I see.
So you're able to walk, I mean, from, to there.
So if you're familiar with the ones that are in Inman Park right now, they're
Sure.
perpendicular.
Okay, so the
This
issue.
would turn them 90 degrees.
The issue is that, so under the way the bill's written now, the operable screens would be perpendicular to, the structure's parallel, but the screens face into the road and away from the road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the opposing view, that is not your view,
Yes.
is that the screens would point down both sides of the road.
Both sides of the road. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
and I just want to clear it up. So the screen's pointing both sides of the road. When you're standing at the screen, you're facing one direction of the road or the other direction of the road,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is not what the bill currently does now. What the bill currently does now is when you face the screen, you're either facing the road or your back is to the road.
Sure.
Correct?
Yeah. Or you're
Okay.
parallel to it, or you're walking with it.
And bearing with me one more time, so the safety concern by your opposition is that if you are standing on the side of the screen with your back to the road, that you're too close to the road. Is that right?
I'm not, no, sir. My
Okay.
fear, or not fear, is the driver.
Okay.
The person on the road, as they're traveling down the road, the distraction of what they're going to see, a lit sign.
I see.
I'm all about, I hope, it's different in a metro area about people walking out in front of you. But mine is really making sure that the driver has full view.
Okay, and then I guess there'll be
That's where
some
I'm at.
discussion about whether the digital screen is moving or animated
Yeah,
versus
we do not, this bill does not allow a moving, nor do I think
Okay.
that there's no desire about except when it switches from one ad to another.
And my very last question, I apologize, thank you,
Sure, that's
is are there any mandates that, in terms of the reason that we're doing this, that constrain our discretion one way or the other? Like, is there a rule that governs how it has to be?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You're saying relative to the perpendicular parallel?
Yeah,
piece?
like, is that just completely discretionary with the committee?
It is.
Or, well, the legislature, I should say, but.
It is.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
We got a lot of questions on this. All right, I'm going to go next to my vice chair, Dixon.
And so currently, on any state routes, none of these signs exist currently, so there wouldn't be any going to have to go and change the direction that they
That's
are?
right. There are none of them on the state routes. Yes, sir.
And I'm a visual learner. Could you get your Secretary of Transportation in the House? Could he stand up and give us a demonstration?
He sure could.
And is it his first transportation bill coming through?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Chairman Beach.
When do you want to do that?
Yeah, now would be a good time.
Mr. Chairman, no disrespect, but I would make the other argument, it may be more dangerous to have it parallel, because you're standing right there at the street, and the driver may not see the sign, but he may not see you either. I'm thinking perpendicular may be safer, and if I'm envisioning this right, and I don't see a problem with allowing the city of Atlanta to make the decision parallel or perpendicular. Why couldn't we give them the option depending on where they're going to put these things? So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make an amendment that they can be parallel or perpendicular. I think it should be up to the location and what's best for that location, and let the city of Atlanta and GDOT decide.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Senator Mello. What number are you on there? 5?
Number 5. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the appropriate time, I will second the gentleman from the 21st amendment, because I have the same concern, especially when you talk about wayfinding signage, because I am very familiar with the long drive that I take. Sometimes if it is going to be wayfinding signage, that is a driver, when I am driving in Atlanta, I do look to see if something says where something is on the billboard. And if you've driven, there's some static billboards and some digital on I-16. And sometimes if you look at them, they will tell you McDonald's, next exit, whatever. And so if that is parallel to me, I'm not looking to my right when I'm driving, but I keep my eyes on the road in front of me. And if you were to use that to even promote some directional signs on a state road, I may want to see that from my car, not sit at the traffic light and kind of turn right to see what that's
So
saying.
these are, just to answer your question, these are small. They're 2 feet, 4 feet, up to 10 feet.
I use them now in Atlanta when they tell me what's on them, when I'm driving through to
quick.
figure out where something is in the city, because I know where nothing is here.
Amen.
And so when I see some of the advertisements, I think they have them at some of the MARTA bus stops. And so
There are.
I'm
There are.
looking at them if I don't know where I am to try to figure that out.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Chairman, let's go to Chairman Avatarte.
I don't have a question, I'll say it back to you, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear that in this section, there is an amendment that this is only the city of Atlanta. So this is not counties around the state. This is just
Correct.
one municipality.
That's right.
Thank
And
you.
just, I think the wise decision here, we have a committee meeting on Monday. Let's continue this discussion. Allow Chairman Jaspers and I to revisit this with the department and with Jenna. And certainly it seems like at least a large percentage of the committee would like us to revisit this parallel idea. We'll do that and come back. But Chairman Beach, let me recognize you.
Is there anybody from DOT or Atlanta DOT or GDOT here to talk about this? Would it be okay if
If there's anybody here that wishes to speak to it,
is there anybody?
I'm
that-
also not going to force them to come up.
Okay.
If you come up, I'll put you on one there. Why don't you state your name, tell us who you're with, and welcome to the party.
Take a seat.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. Solomon Cavanis. I represent the Atlanta Department of Transportation as Commissioner. I see some familiar faces here. While I appreciate the banter and the exchange, I just speak to the relationship we have with the Georgia Department of Transportation and Commissioner McMurray. Great partnership. We've done a number of projects and a number of these types of initiatives together. We are collectively working towards the number of events, COPA 2024, we have the College Championship 25, obviously the World Cup, and this is just an opportunity to think of the pertinences or the assets that can help make Atlanta a world-class city. While I appreciate the comments presented by the chairman, in speaking with Commissioner McMurray, there's a great opportunity to take advantage of the wonderful talent in our departments that are experts in this area. And if you all will allow us to have those conversations about what consistent information displays these types of assets, how they are presented around the country and around the world, especially as we bring in folks from around the world. And that consistency is very important. Understanding what you see in Barcelona is consistent with what you might find in Atlanta, just to make sure that there's that consistency. I appreciate the comments and the thoughts and the intellect around transportation and the interest. So thank you for letting me share some comments and think about us working together with this body to think about a reasonable solution. So consistency, I'd leave this committee with consistency. We have a number of high-volume state corridors within the city, which is very unique here in Atlanta compared to some other regions. And that consistency between North Avenue and Ponce de Leon, I heard Inman Park brought up. We want to target neighborhoods and districts around the city to make sure that we have the consistency as we're focusing on Vision Zero and safety, as we're focusing on a number of our initiatives and making sure that consistency, because motorists coming in from Duluth, might know that they're on a City of Atlanta road versus a state road, but it's really important. Most don't know whose jurisdiction it is. So you mentioned 16. So
just to read between the lines in your consistency, are you advocating for perpendicular in saying that?
I'd be careful.
Okay.
And,
or are you more so, are you asking for flexibility? Would you prefer flexibility and GDOT determines the directionality of the placement of these?
Yes, because most situations are different, but
Okay.
it's really important.
Chairman Beach.
Well, first off, I know you want consistency, and safety's number one. Do you envision certain areas where it would be better parallel and then some areas where it may be better perpendicular? I mean, I think giving you and GDOT the option from a safety standpoint, some areas may be less safe parallel, and some areas may be more safe perpendicular. I mean, I don't know where you're going to put all these things, but I'm just saying that I think I trust you experts to know what's best from a safety standpoint,
And I appreciate
and
that.
GDOT. So, I guess we can have further discussion if we're not going to move on this today.
Sure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the conversations you and I have had about transportation, and welcome to your new role, and you're doing a great job. Certainly appreciate the
Thank you so
partnership
much.
between your city and our state. Any
And
other
I
questions?
won't
or-
leave, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I won't leave a stack of cards because I don't want too many questions coming my way.
They'll be there.
If any of the members of the committee need his cell phone, let me know. I'll text it to you. Lobbyists, you're not invited to that offer. You want to walk us through the rest of the bill, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Okay.
And we have an amendment, I think, B2, I think Chairman had one on lines,
We'll just bring that back as a new committee sub on Monday.
okay, just do it as sub, okay.
And it does two things. It limits it to the city of Atlanta, and it
Yeah.
will sunset the new installation of any of these in the middle of 2026.
Good. Okay, in section 4, this is for the sheriff of Union County. And Senator Gooch probably knows a lot more about this than I do. But this is on the Richard Russell Highway. And they have had numerous accidents with large trucks, commercial vehicles on that road. He sent us, Senator and I, many pictures of all the wrecks this year. Very concerned about it, and worked with GDOT with some language that you see here with Representative Gunner to allow that to be in a very narrow designation, a non-motor vehicle area. So we can only take a six-wheeled vehicle at the largest. The road's just not made for it.
This is
Ties
a
up
steep road that has had a number of
twisty,
issues. Right?
windy. I mean, you may want to add to it and this just lets them limit it. It really is probably the only road in the state. It's written so that, because it does have, like it says in here, gates to shut it down when the weather is terrible, but it just allows them to keep big trucks off of it totally.
And that's your buddy up there, Sheriff Mason, is that right? That's right. I've had I got a welcome to Union County notice at one point in time from the good sheriff's office. And
Oh, my.
that happens. All right, how about section 5?
Okay, section 5 is the GDOT. This is a request from them. And if you read through it, what this does, it says that the maximum allowed speed on a fully limited access road, and we just say that it's like Highway 400, 515, is allowed up to 70. And that's what you see written there. These are physically divided, full access control. Nothing more than that. They just need a definition clarification. On Section 6, this is for our railroad friends. It updates that the dedication of the locomotive tax, and if you remember, we passed that a couple of years ago, ties it back to the rail program, and what it's doing is allowing them to use some of that money for administrative cost to operate this program. And in Section 7, this goes back to Senator Gooch and I's EV bill. The Department of Agriculture needs a year more as they're trying to implement this, what we created for them, and this is a date change to 26.
So this pushes out another year.
Yes.
The testing and all that kind of stuff that y'all
Yeah,
have worked
sure
on.
does. They're having difficulties coming up with testing equipment.
Okay. Any questions from, or I should say for Chairman Jaspers, any of those sections? I'm going to open this up for discussion. Is there anything on these kiosks that you want us to look at in the next couple of days, members of the committee, other than the directionality piece? Any other thoughts on that? No? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
is there a way to engross the bill on the Senate floor just so people don't make jokes about directions if this comes to the Senate floor? Or how does that work?
So the minority party, like they did all through the 90s and 80s, they can engross any bill they want to. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. We will revisit this on Monday. What's our committee time on Monday? 1 o'clock. We'll move it quickly. So we're going to not take action on this. We'll hold this till Monday. Thank you guys for the work you've done, Chairman Jaspers,
You bet.
Jenna.
Thank you, Chairman.
Senator Orrock, we have already passed your road naming bill.
So I got to see Transportation Committee.
You did, but I do wonder, Senator, if you want to take maybe the podium and just share a few words about the person you're naming the road after for the record. Senator Moore indicated to us that he had done some research. He said his exact words were, "Obviously, I was concerned when I saw it was from Senator Orrock." I don't know why he meant obviously.
Who was that that's made that?
Chairman Moore.
Oh, my friend Colton.
But he then
Right.
described in his research, he discovered this was quite the fine gentleman, and that he would be pleased to vote in favor of your road naming bill, which he's already done, and which has passed this
Wonderful.
committee. But tell us about your
Well, I'll
work.
take a minute. Thank you for allowing me the courtesy, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. We were getting that last bill out of finance before I came over.
I read others, I had to vote for it. Did you vote for it?
The last bill?
Yeah, was it good, or was it that crazy
Oh, yeah, we
one?
voted for it.
Okay,
I
all right.
I think there was one no vote.
I didn't want to take the vote. It just so happened we had to start this committee, so.
There you
you
go.
go.
It
Well,
all
it
works
just worked
out
out.
sometimes. Many of you may not be familiar with the historic Butler Street YMCA, but it was the only Y for black citizens in Atlanta, and has a long, strong history. And the gentleman that the road naming is for, J.D. Winston, Joseph Donald Winston, served as 59 years at this historic black Butler Street Y. And in fact, when they built the new Y, it was named after him. And he was a mentor to Dr. King Jr., to Vernon Jordan, Jesse Hill, Herman Russell, Maynard Jackson, Walt Frazier, Ambassador Andrew Young. That was a gathering place for the black community and the youth, the black youth of Atlanta, and he was a church member just right down the street from there at Second Mount Zion Baptist Church, and Sunday school teacher, and just a paragon of virtue, who dedicated his life to youth. It's a wonderful opportunity to have his legacy remembered with a road naming. And Senator Donzella James actually helped initiate this with me. I just wanted to reference her as well. She couldn't be here, but that is J.D. Winston. Wonderful.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. It's passed this committee.
Right.
It'll be second read, it'll get tomorrow, and then it'll be reported out, I should say, tomorrow, and then we can consider it for rules. I'm sure that if you asked him to, Senator Moore might be happy to speak on behalf of this bill when it gets to the floor, and this can be the Orrock Moore. The Moorrock We'll call it the Moorock. All right, perfect.
Actually, Moore is my mother's maiden name. We're very proud of that family name, and we share that with Senator Colton Moore.
Recognize Chairman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to expand upon this love. Senator and I also have roots in East Tennessee. As a matter of fact, her family worked for TVA when my grandmother's house was flooded by TVA. So they were both there at the same time historically.
That's right. In different roles. Yeah, my
Yes, ma'am.
mother was the secretary to the project director for the Norris Dam, and my father was a forester doing the reforestation around that dam.
Well,
I
I'm
love
glad he
that.
was there because, I'm here.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. And I would just add that, thank you. What did he say? I wouldn't doubt it. The Scotch-Irish Moors, are scattered all across southern Appalachia.
They're certainly
They're not.
political allies, Senator
Right.
Lucas. so
In case anyone
you
hadn't
never know.
noticed that, but I was very interested in the deliberations about our fair city of Atlanta, and our transportation staff is very capable and does work closely with the state transportation staff.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for telling us about your road naming. Members of the committee, thanks for the good feedback today. We'll see you all on Monday. We're adjourned.